Gavin Newsom, in every single interview I've seen him do, has passed the buck, even though he is the governor of this state. Yeah. He is pathetic. He's a snake. He's like the slimiest Democratic politician, certainly on a local level. But what we have seen is mismanagement of epic proportions.
I think I've ever met in my entire life. So synthetic, and honestly, that's very dangerous, like incredibly dangerous. Like he's the type of person that could just like stare at you like, oh yeah, I voted for Trump, and just like pass a lie detector test. That is very, very dangerous. You know, just stone cold, just like no inhibitions whatsoever when it comes to deceit or lying or misleading.
Kasparian and Charlie Kirk just pulled off the roast no one saw coming, and their target, California's own Gavin King Newsom. When those two unite, it's not a debate, it's demolition. From Botox to backroom deals, they're peeling back California's fake glam like it's a bad reality show. Did Newsom think he could dodge fire from both sides of the internet? Buckle up.
The existence of climate change should not be utilized as a talking point in order to pass the buck, in order to deflect blame, in order to refuse to take any personal responsibility for how poorly this state has been governed for several years now. I am so disgusted with these people.
But again, Gavin wants to be president. So this is him trying to recover from, you know, the damage that he got after the podcast I had with him. Remember, I asked him, what are you doing about transports? He did nothing and all that, and he got a huge left flank. So this is very instructive. How do you get yourself back into the Democrat primary circle? How do you win back support? You let your city burn. Nothing gets you back into the good wishes of the Democrat Party.
Smash that subscribe like Newsom smashes budgets. Now imagine Kasparian and Charlie Kirk agreeing. That's not bipartisanship. That's a cosmic glitch. Like a vegan and a butcher bonding over brisket. And caught in this twilight zone, Gavin Newsom, the Abercrombie governor in a leadership crisis.
That while Americans are encouraged to shelter in place, encouraged to practice social distancing, no eating indoors at restaurants, you know, he was seen at the French Laundry meeting up with his lobbyist buddies. That is unacceptable. I have not seen competent leadership from Gavin Newsom, and I will state on this show, every single member of my family signed our names, provided our signatures to recall him.
Wow.
So what crime did Newsom commit to get roasted from left and right? Simple, he played the oldest trick in the book. Look sharp, sound smart, deliver fluff. It's giving TED Talk, not results.
Gavin Newsom, if you're listening to this, you're a failure. Mayors are actually some of the most powerful people in the country. The police are responsive to the mayor. The building code's responsible to the mayor. The homeless, mayors are very, very powerful. So he was mayor of San Francisco. Would you let your son walk the streets of San Francisco unaccompanied at 1 a.m.? No, you wouldn't. I'm sorry. Your son can't walk the streets of the city that you were in charge of. You're a disgrace. Gavin Newsom, you just want political power. You have no guiding beliefs at all. Just leave the Democrat Party. That's my advice to him. If you really want to be in elected office that bad, just leave the Democrat Party and just go run as like a moderate Republican and just have some sort of like conversion story.
On paper, Gavin Newsom is a liberal fantasy. Jawline, swagger, and NPR voice. But behind the polish, just another slick campaign with Wi-Fi. California didn't get a leader, they got a curated Instagram feed.
First of all, I'd get real aggressive about building housing immediately, right? Putting porta potties under freeway bridges for homeless people to use is not a solution to this problem. I would also find ways to ensure that businesses have the, economic relief necessary to remain stable throughout this process. So if you're going to force them to shut down, what are you going to do to ensure that once these shutdowns are lifted, that these businesses don't go underwater, don't shut down, don't go bankrupt? I mean, it's just a lack of planning, a lack of thoughtfulness, a lack of humanity.
Remember that TV spat with Ron DeSantis? It looked like a Netflix trailer for Election Cage Match 2028. But back in real life, gas is $7, tents line sidewalks, and California feels less like a dream, more like a PowerPoint on fire.
I mean, my view of him is actually the same, which is this is a guy that wants to be president more than any other human being, I think, currently alive. And it looks as if he's trying to be on the popular edge or the popular side of
the issues right now. The one that's making the most headlines, obviously, is biological men in women's sports. And he said he totally agrees with me, and that's a direct quote.
Were you surprised by that?
I was a little taken aback. I anticipate a little bit more of a politician answer. We'll see if he actually follows up that rhetoric with action, like an executive order, or trying to champion the state bill that will prohibit biological men in women's sport. I think he's been a total failure as governor.
When things fall apart, Newsom doesn't fix. He finger points. Florida this red states that. But he barely survived a recall and still walks around like he's king of the coasts. All style, no solutions.
I'm interested in the governor. I know the governor of the state. He's got some, I know Gavin Newsom, he's got some talent, I think, and charming for sure. But like, what is going on? Is he aware of that? I've asked him, and I
You really find him charming?
well, in a kind of reptilian way. I mean, charming in the sense that his whole life is devoted to winning people over.
Yes,
kind of like Bill Clinton was, and I think he's good at it. But I also think someone said to me the other day, Newsom could pass a lie detector test on saying anything. Like there's a coldness inside that
he's
allows.
He's a sociopath. I think
That's
he's
kind of
a snake oil salesman. I think he's a liar, and I think that he destroyed the state of California. Full stop.
They called Newsom the next big thing. Biden 2.0, but with hair gel and better skincare. But now, even Anna is done pretending. She's not upset he's ineffective. She's mad he fakes like he isn't.
There's a Newsweek article, though. His numbers are down dramatically as far as favorability, trust, authenticity since he started his podcast. It's not going very well for him of how people view him. So for that, I will say that I think we have done a good job of exposing him for being the synthetic fraud that he actually is. I will give him credit for having the discussion. Great. They didn't edit any of it. That deserves credit because they very well could have edited the trans thing out. But I do understand completely where you're coming from, Megan. However, I would just view it a little bit differently. I don't think that Gavin Newsom is getting his spring training to become a presidential candidate. I think he's actually being exposed as someone who will not be able to get through a Democrat primary.
When Anna and Charlie sync up, it's not a glitch, it's a warning. California poured billions into homelessness and got luxury condos next to tent cities. Even iced coffee liberals are asking, where's the money, Gavin?
In 2014, voters in California overwhelmingly supported a ballot measure to support building more reservoirs in the state in order to bulk up our water infrastructure because we live in a drought-prone state. That passed in 2014. Funding was attached to it. You want to know how many reservoirs have been built since 2014? Zero. This state is an utter joke because of the people who are governing it. Gavin Newsom right now is at the top of that list.
Anna calls it cosmetic progressivism. Newsom checks every woke box but forgets to actually open them. He's not a leader. He's a lifestyle brand in a $3,000 suit. And now Charlie is throwing a full-blown pizza party.
A very calculated bet that no one's going to remember that he was a failed governor, that no one's going to remember that he literally has no accomplishments, and that he's going to try to run to the middle and to be able to take his Democrat base for granted. The Democrat base, as exhibited, as how they're acting in the streets and how they're acting in Congress, is not moderating on these issues. In fact, I think this podcast might be ending Gavin Newsom's presidential ambitions, not preparing him for his presidential ambitions. Again, all this is just speculation and conjecture. And then I will also speak just for myself personally why we decided to do it. Being the first guest, we consider that to be a pretty cool opportunity to be able to sit down and disagree and even debate at times with the governor of the world's, the largest state, the fifth largest economy in the world.
To Charlie Kirk, Newsom isn't just bad. He's dangerous. A digital dictator in disguise. More obsessed with Instagram than infrastructure. And don't forget the Freedom Tour. He left a burning state just to lecture others.
Your car's going to get broken into. Okay? You're going to get robbed.
Nope.
Using taxpayer money, funneling it to nonprofits so they can literally buy crack pipes and hand them out at Skid Row. There's video evidence of that. Paying incredibly high taxes that go to what? So yeah, I'm sick of it. And honestly, just experiencing what I've seen on the ground in California has made me question a lot about left-wing ideology.
No.
Look, I would take.
Or over it.
That's
horrible that we have to do that.
I could never vote for Newsom.
When Anna and Charlie pull back the same curtain and see the same empty suit, it's not partisanship, it's exposure. The only thing Newsom seems to govern is his lighting.
He does not listen, ever. Maybe, is this a tipping point for him? Did you get the feeling he really wants to change?
I don't know. I think he wants to be president, Sean, more than anything else on the planet. I think you can agree he has more political ambition than almost anybody in the Democrat Party. And I think he understands that the entire country is moving center-right and is accelerating at a rapid pace. In fact, we are course correcting after 4 failed years under Joe Biden and all of the woke stuff and the anti-common sense movement. Gavin Newsom had me on his podcast, and I was shocked all of a sudden where he decided to diverge away from the orthodox opinion in the Democrat Party, which is as simple as saying that it's not fair that a biological man can compete in female sport.
This is where it gets messy for Gavin. Because when the left and right stop fighting each other and start roasting you in sync, that's not a trend. It's a takedown in progress.
As opposed to whatever the hell that was.
You're absolutely right, okay, in your analysis. And let me just say, you know that I like you when I'm willing to sit through a podcast episode featuring Gavin Newsom just to prepare, for this. Okay, because I can't stand him. I can't stand his raspy voice. And it's not for any superficial reason other than the fact that I live in California. I've had the displeasure of experiencing what his leadership actually looks like. He's a snake oil salesman. He's a terrible person.
So, is Gavin Newsom the future of the Democratic Party? Or just an algorithm in Armani? If 2028 is his runway, those slips from both sides aren't confetti. They're warnings. Because once Anna and Charlie agree you're the problem, the party's almost over.